Bada bing, we're in. Good morning, gentlemen. Piere, Gareth, welcome
Good
to
day,
another episode. Gareth, good to have you on. These things are proving super popular, so I would expect an influx of emails and WhatsApp messages to your social media presence.
Thanks so much for having me on, Joe and Piere. It's my pleasure and privilege, and I don't think we're going to get to the dizzy heights you had with Scott Britz's episode, but we'll do our best.
Listen, people want to know what's going on in the KZN season, and having been champion KZN trainer and with quite a big presence in KZN, I would imagine that you're looking forward to the season.
Yeah, we're starting to look forward to it, Joe. We haven't had the big horses to really anticipate being in the feature races with, but things are starting to look a little bit more bright from that perspective, with Flagman running in the Daily News on Saturday, and then Milencio Kududuma just putting his hand up a little. So yeah, we've got a little bit to look forward to.
Yeah, have you identified any of these horses, Striker, that you want to get on? Or?
I don't think they're going to get my weight. So. Karen, are you happy that you've gone to Cape Town? You've made the move? Are you?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I am happy, Piere. It's a move that I just thought, it was largely motivated also by lifestyle for the family. And from that perspective, it's been a wonderful success. It's been great to be in Cape Town, and it's just a lovely place. But from a business perspective, from a racing perspective, no, it hasn't been a success. It's been hard knocks. But, that's unavoidable in not only racing, but in life. And we'll be better off for it. But it's just, it hasn't been a success, unfortunately.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let's get straight into the nitty gritty, right? Do you think without question we'll run in the July?
It looks like he will. To answer your question.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what happened. Without question, and Flagman ran on the same day. And without question, carried 60 kilos. Flagman carried 56.5 over the same distance. Flagman was drawn in Timbuktu, got up to win. With a 3.5 kilo difference, there's only a 4 lengths difference between the two horses. This horse, Flagman of yours, he could be anything, Gareth.
Yeah, he is under the radar, and he's probably ahead of the handicapper. So thanks, I appreciate you giving us those facts there, Joe. And it's nice to hear from your professional perspective too. I haven't dealt with the horse a lot. My dad identified him, earmarked him, and bought him for the clients, and has been training him. I've been there for one of his gallops, and that gallop he was on his own, and doesn't, you can't, tell the world from one gallop. It doesn't tell you the picture. So yeah, I'm actually enjoying watching him as a passenger, but he's definitely brought my dad alive. I can tell you that, and it's lovely to see the fire sparked in my dad with this horse.
Yeah, but listen, if we listened to Jurgen Klopp's speech on Sunday, or Pep Guardiola's speech, Mike de Kock's speeches, Sean Terry's, Chris Waller, all of these people all over the world, no one ever achieves success in isolation. So it has to be a team, right? So you're probably doing yourself slight injustice there, because these people are all on your team, right? And you guys have all got to work together. Piere, did you watch Flagman?
Yeah.
I did watch him, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought, you know what, it's not always easy to win in a big field coming from last in the gravel short straight. So, yeah, it was impressive. Obviously, is he going to have another run to try and up his merit rating to get in, or?
Daily News.
Yeah.
He's going Daily News, eh? Okay.
And what do you think, Gareth? Can the viewers have a little each way?
Look, if we take just focusing on what I'm told of the horse and our horse's well-being, yes. To answer your question, yes. If we look at Green with Envy, I don't know how I haven't looked at the betting. I would expect him to be close to 125 on. he deserves, in my opinion, to be something around those restricted odds. But I definitely expect to be one of the possible horses to worry him if he will be worried.
Yeah, and I think it's good to go because, I mean, if you run second, you obviously get a penalty, so you're probably giving up 1 or 2 wins, right? But that's the one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is if you've got a decent horse, you want to be campaigning at a decent level. And
Yeah.
I think he's all right, Piere. I really do. I like this horse. Huh? I like this one.
Yeah, the handicapping. Sorry, Piere?
No, carry on.
Yeah, the handicapping perspective's gone out of the door with him or out of the window. So it's not wise from the handicapping perspective. But my dad was looking at potentially going the softer route with him, and I also said rather don't, because I don't know how long my dad's going to be in his role, how long, and he's loving training the horse, and it's his baby as such, and I want to see him go on with it and potentially to the July with it. And he's always had his July dreams, and I think he ran third in the July with a couple of horses he trained, and as a jockey ran fourth. And the dream for me, I'd love to have the dream alive for my dad. So yeah, look, we're not going to compromise the horse just for for that perspective. From that perspective, obviously the owners and the horse come before us, but it's on the table, and we're having a go.
Okay. I want to talk about a few more of your recent winners, Gareth, that I think are also under the radar. This little sprint of yours, Pretty Victory. That's above average, that.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah. Not a shrewd move in bringing it to Cape Town to run in the Gold Rush Mile, straight out of winning over 1,200 meters. I suspected she was more of a speed horse, but in America, speed horses win over 2,000 meters, I think, So we took our chances, and it didn't work. She ran a nice bounce back run at Kenilworth over 1,200 in tough company, and then has found herself again in KZN. It's very hard to bounce back immediately. Like, it was probably 3 weeks after the mile for a filly who had travelled, and she had a bit of a hard run, but we nursed her nicely. We treated her kindly, and it's hard to bounce back immediately after stretching them, but she's done well, and now she deserves a break. As a 4-year-old, I think that there's a lot more to come from her. She's not fully furnished. She's got a beautiful athletic big frame, obviously got the lungs and the blood and the heart, but there's more to come from a physical perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Piere?
Yeah.
What do you want to ask?
I wanted to ask you, jumping in another direction now. You grew up with your dad being a jockey. Was it in your mind to always join horse racing? Did you want to become a jockey first?
No, I remember you from when I was probably, I want to try and put an age on it. It's probably 9. My brother then would have been 2 years younger than me, so he was probably about 7. Maybe I shouldn't give away too many secrets, but we used to follow my dad to the jockey's room when he was racing, when we could, where it was at Newmarket or Gosforth Park, Turpentine, Naval. And I was obsessed with studying the race card and trying to figure out what it took to win a race from a form perspective, where these winners were coming from. Chesney, my brother, was obsessed with riding. He used to ride the rocking horse, the pony. And so I never set my heart on riding, although I did ride, but I was never going to be a jockey. But I was obsessed with the game from that early young age. And a funny story, actually, I might have been about 10 when I was with Ricardo Lagrange's brother at the Val, and my dad was riding a horse called Love of Sheila for Gary Alexander. It was one of a 3-way coupling for the yard, and he didn't ride much for Gary Alexander. And Ricardo's brother said to me, "Hey, ask your dad what he thinks of this one," because we were just dabbling around with, I think it was a 5 rand minimum bet or whatever. And I said to him, I said, "No, oh no, okay, I did." So I went and I asked my dad. I said, "Dad, hey, what about this one?" When he came out of the jockey's room there at the Val, and he said, "No, boy, not this one." And I said to Ricardo, when a jockey says, to Ricardo's brother, I think it's Daniel, when a jockey says no, that means yes. So we had a £5 each way on Love of Sheila, and she won at about 100-1, and that was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me.
Sure.
The bug bit.
Gareth, do I remember that either you or Chesney were once interviewed live?
Chesney was my dad's mascot at the July when my dad rode a horse that Piere also rode, had a good partnership with Special Preview.
Yes.
Going the 2-2, but Chesney was his mascot. Maybe you might remember that.
Okay. But Special Preview, he didn't really see a 2-2, eh? July distance.
Yeah, no, that was stretching. He was a great sprinter.
Okay,
Maybe up to
according to Gareth van Zyl, you've heard it here first. Okay? Piere, we're putting him on the spot, right? Gareth says Green with Envy is a 1-5 shot. You can currently get 7-10, so technically you should be emptying out.
Yeah, good price.
have it all, unless we can spoil the party, which we hope to do.
So you're 8-1 roughly at the moment to win that race.
But that's the wrong price, Joe. Let's talk about it from our perspective. We obviously dreaming and we bias towards Flagman, but for a horse that hasn't been exposed at group level, we're receiving a lot of weight from the Grey King. What is the Grey King? We received, 5 or 6 kgs from him?
The Grey King is 16-1.
Interesting. Yeah. Doesn't those sums represent to me more of interpretation than maths?
Well, the maths is your horse put up a really good time comparative to future. So future swing of what is. So you beat the Grey King that day, right? But on that day there were 2 races over 1900, and Snaith's future swing put up the fastest time that day, 1:16.5. You put up a time of 1:17.88. So you were beaten 7.26 lengths on times by Future Swing, but you also gave Future Swing 2.5 kilos.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying that they've priced your horse up quite short.
Yeah. You've obviously put that right.
I don't think.
Has he shortened? Has he shortened in the betting, Joe? Does it show any indication?
No, he's drifted from 7s to 8s. So you probably start 10-1, 12-1. But I don't think that you're just having a dream, Gareth. I think that your horse is a runner.
Oh, thank you, Joe. I'll tell you, my dad has advised clients and friends, whoever will listen to him, to take the double Daily News in July with Flagman. Take it as you may, but that's his tip.
Well, listen, you can't. I'm assuming that you only got to lay out 100 rand to win $1 million there. So it's not a big thing.
It was 1,000 to win $1 million. Now you probably got to put about 1,400 to win $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. A few of your other recent winners for our viewers. Zinikele.
Yeah.
I mean that. She looks like a nice little filly. That she can go in again probably.
Yeah, she's won all her races on the poly. It wasn't ideal dropping her. I think it was from an 18 to a 14. So we put the blinkers back on her last time out, and she was outpaced and then knuckled down late and won the race nicely. I'd be surprised if she goes on and competes at group level, but her rating's now probably in the mid-90s off the top of my head, and she's done. I think we've done quite well with her. It might get hard at group level with her.
Okay, and so Piere, was it something you wanted to say?
No, just did Gareth did you get any horses at the sales, the national sales? It's difficult to get owners.
Piere, like I alluded to earlier, and it's relevant, thanks for asking, business hasn't been great with this move to Cape Town. I rocked the boat a bit, unsettled clients in Durban, and haven't had the results hoped for in Cape Town. So, I was hoping for growth here, and it just stagnated everything, really. So we did well to get 4 horses there. It wasn't easy, but without my dad plays his obviously stepped up as assistant there also in at Summerfeld, but his primary role was supposed to be sales related, and he's very good with sales. And yeah, so he helped, but I hadn't made his cause easy leading up to it. Although we had one or two, the yards have been ticking over, that's been there, but we haven't been like firing like we needed to. So we got 4 horses at the National Yearling Sale. Prices were up, as you're saying. Guys need to just come together in order to compete at the sales ring, which we need to. Obviously, you don't want to just pay carelessly, but you can't really be doing the numbers at a racehorse thoroughbred auction sale, because it just doesn't add up. But if you want to be in the game, it's become expensive.
So I know the answer, but I need our viewers to hear it from you. As a trainer in 2024, I've noticed your willingness and your shift towards dealing with clubs and syndicates. I mean, it's inevitable, isn't it? You have to get on that train.
Yeah, and we've been pushing from South Africa's perspective, South African racing perspective, for these export protocols to be eased and lifted. And it's only an announcement. We don't even know the protocols yet. I mean, the American door's been open for a long time, which now they're using. But with the EU, if that opens, it's just going to be impossible for us to buy horses. The better end, higher end horses. So if it's hard now, it's going to get way more difficult if the market opens like it should, with the drive for export.
I was actually referring, you're right. I was actually referring to a case where, for example, Glistian now got a couple of guys involved in a couple of horses that you happen to train. And I noticed the difference. So I noticed that within a minute or two of us adding them to the WhatsApp group, there is now a communication from you. And I'm not criticizing that there wasn't one before, even saying that there wasn't, but it's noticeable that trainers are having to engage with multiple people, multiple partners, syndicates, that kind of thing. Do you feel that is now inevitable? Do you think that the days of...
I'm out of here. Gareth, all the best for the future.
Cheers, Piere.
And,
thanks for that. Gareth, we'll give it a bit longer because I want to...
Thanks so much, Piere. Great to be chatting with you.
Cheers.
All the best with See It Again.
Thank you.
And well done with your partnership with, he's gone, with the Arun Chada. I mean, I've enjoyed watching, and it's been great to see someone pick Piere up as he should be, as a retained sponsored jockey, and it's been good.
Because of us, by the way.
Oh, wow, really?
Because he took that ride on Money House like a year and a half ago, and he was going to give up. So let's get back on piste. You do know that this is the only way, right?
Not the only way, but definitely the way forward. And if you want to go forward and progress with the way things are moving, yes, yeah.
I didn't mean the only way, as in you only train for syndicates. I meant it's the only way that deserves real focus at the moment, because I listened to Kanema's interview the other day, and he sort of comes across as somebody who's pretty much got what he does sorted, and he's got his owners and etc. So he's not really on a big massive drive to bring new people into his yard. He seems to be, I'm not bad mouthing the man or anything, but he seems to have his rules and regulations.
He's an institution.
It's an institution. I respect institutions. Sir Mark Prescott has got an institution. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He phones his owners, or used to phone his owners, every Sunday between 1 and 2. And if you didn't answer the call, he'd phone you the following Sunday. I don't think we have as many of those owners around anymore. We now have owners. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. So
100%.
It's the only way, because I think it's the way that I think it's a great way of growing your brand, to just do podcasts, do interviews, have your social media going. And it might be challenging to some people, or they might not even believe in it. And I take my hat off to certain trainers. I mean, I'm not going to name them, but I know trainers at Rijkersfontein that don't talk to their owners. Like, I've met owners of certain trainers that tell me, I get told when my horse is running. But I do think that those type of owners and those type of trainers are becoming less and less.
Yeah. It's nice to be able, as a horseman, it's nice to be able to just focus on the horses in the yard, but the nature of business requires a lot more than that from a trainer. Yeah.
But I can validate to whoever's watching this that I will phone you and say to you, Gareth, I've looked at the program. I think this race could go. You still say to me, no, I don't think so. So I think it's the conversation, not necessarily the agreement, because I still listen to the trainers, but it's the involvement that I think a lot of people are searching for. You know?
Yeah, there used to be a relationship whereby the trainer must do his job, he gets paid for the job, and that's it. Now we live in an era whereby, for example, online owners are looking at the program, they're looking at races, they're doing a bit of programming themselves. Not all, but there are a lot of owners who are doing their own programming. And from my perspective as a trainer, I've got a whole lot of horses, and an owner might have one or two. He's probably paid a bit more attention for that one horse. So let's discuss it. Have you picked up something I haven't? Whereby, previously, from what I understand, trainers wouldn't really want to entertain what you might have seen or think, but now it's become quite necessary. I mean, we discussed, a big syndicate in the UK yesterday. And my brother in Australia tells me that the syndicates in Australia and the syndicate managers in Australia, they tell the trainers what they're doing. And, if the trainer doesn't listen, well, then there's the next one. And so that's the way things have shifted. And it's not pleasant from a trainer's perspective, but we've got to understand it. It's the way the game's changing. And, I don't want to be told what to do all the time, obviously, but there can be merit in alternative thinking. And if the lines of communication are open, then I think progress can be made.
I think many divorces have been avoided through communication.
100%.
Whether they be in romantic, trainer, football, whatever it is. So that's why I think what Glistian does, Hollywood Bets, all of these syndicates, all of them, I'm not going to name, too many to name, right? In their own little way, we all contribute to the bigger picture, and we've had to change how we do things. So I'm 54. Do I enjoy having to put out content 50 times a day? Probably in the cold light of day, no. But would I rather be doing this and extracting teeth? Definitely. You know what I mean? Like, so.
You got to weigh it up 100%. And, we want to be eating the cream all the time, but there's a process that you have to undergo.
And you've got young kids who I've obviously got the greatest pleasure of knowing and being friends with them. And I've got a kid, and I tell my boy all the time, like, whatever you do in life, try your hardest to do something that you love. So if you've got a syndicate and yes, they want photos or they want whatever, I think it should, and you do, I think it should be embraced. And I think there's nothing wrong with the old school, but there's a lot to be said for the new school. Gareth, so I'm cognizant of time. Give us 3 or 4 that the Oaks can follow. Obviously, Flagman, Saturday's a big day for you.
Flagman, off the top of my head, that's definitely one. If I look at Cape Town, I'm looking for a turnaround from a horse, King Pele's. I think he's starting to turn the corner. His brother, not King Arthur, Legend of Arthur, something like that. And with Terry is a really smart 2-year-old, and he's really well bred. He's got a brother that won the Derby, and the sister's a black type horse. So anyway, King Pele's is a horse that should improve. Back in KZN, off the top of my head.
Well, we like Sinikele, we like Pretty Victory, don't we?
Yeah, we're hoping Emelensi Yoko Tuduma, he ran a credible race in the in the 1900, he just came from a hopeless position. In the cup trial, if we get a decent draw in Valencia or Kududuma, should be a big runner. He ran on really nicely in the 1900. And he's an outside ticket for the July. If he had to perhaps come up in that 1800, there's a lot of merit in his last run.
Okay. I don't want to fight with you, but what is the obsession with going further with this horse?
Well, he did come to us branded as a horse that's best up to a mile. And who rode him? Was it Richard Ferry, perhaps, that rode him and said go further? And, you know, the way he settles and the way he did quicken, just that he was too far back last time. So, you know, it's also, they haven't, what people must understand is also Hollywood don't get involved. They didn't say, Gareth, try to get this horse into July. But from my perspective, it's their race. Geez, how nice it would be to have him in the race. So he didn't fail in the 1900. The impression was that he wouldn't go further, as I said, but was he truly tested? I don't know. We are pushing the envelope, but you know, look, different trainers do things differently, and I've lost horses whereby a change has been good for a horse in another situation, and maybe change in this situation is going to present a different result. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope so. But I do like to put my head on the block. I'd like to back this horse over a mile. I need a proper mile of this horse.
Yeah, no, that's the reputation he had.
Yeah.
But what if we mention a horse like Kisoten? So she might not be a feature race horse, but there's a lot of merit in her last run. She really had a credible last race. She probably could have won another if it went a bit different. So she's a horse with upside.
Yeah, she was going to run last week, and then she did herself a little mischief. We don't know how, but she's recovered.
Yeah, she'll be all right.
Yeah,
Moya Walaliga was unlucky the other day. Moya Walaliga is a horse to pencil in. Yeah. Rani of Johansi was a little bit unlucky. There's more to come from her. You know, you don't really have to be an insider to see when things go wrong for a horse in a race. You know, to perhaps potential viewers or punters, you know, picking things up in races is worth money. And those two I mentioned, if you watch replays, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I've obviously I follow your yard, right? When I look at just the pure numbers, you are a trainer that in the 1 to 5 to 10 to 1 range, your horses are very, very consistent and run to form. So what I mean by that is you don't really need inside information or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, if you see a horse at 66 to 1 trained by you, it for whatever reason, that's not its day, distance, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at the 10 to 1 down to whatever price, one thing I love about you is that you can't leave those horses out based on form, if you're studying form, right?
Okay.
Because they will run to their form. My favorite horse in training ever has been Humdinger for obvious reasons. But what a lot of people don't know is my second favorite horse has always been a little bit naughty. And you trained her from the day she started till we retired her a week ago. And I think she retired rated 60 something. I'm going to look it up now, Gareth, while we're talking. But I'm pretty sure a little bit naughty retired with a low rating.
Yeah, you're pretty close to the 66. You're very close.
I think she retired. Yeah, she retired.
Maybe she dropped a point or two after the last run.
Actually, her last run, she ran off 63.
No, 63, okay.
Okay, but what I can say, and for anybody watching this podcast, if you are looking for a trainer, Gareth's one of my trainers. He's also a very good friend of mine. But if you are looking for a trainer, have a look at what he did with a little bit naughty, because the reality, guys, is most horses are shit, right? Most horses are way below average. So it's what you do with that horse. And if you look at this filly, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 wins out of a 60 rated horse, and actually a lot of places and a lot of fun. And that's why you are a top trainer, Gareth.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks very
Because
much. I
of a
appreciate it.
little. Not because of Flagman, not because of she's a keeper, because every interview I ever hear from Oaks with top horses, oh, this horse trains itself. This horse gives me no problems. Do you know what I mean? Like, the good
100%,
ones always seem to be easy.
Yeah.
A little bit naughty will always be my second favorite horse because of what you did with her, keeping her sound, looking after her, running her in the correct races. So if you're watching this podcast and you've made it all the way through to now, that's my tip. When you see Gareth's horses in the betting and you like them on form, you count on them to run a place.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. That's what we try to give the owners, the punters, a run for their money, and I appreciate hearing that. Thank you.
No, you're very good at that. The last thing I want to discuss is, and I'm going to let you put your case across, because there's an accusation against you. For some reason, people say that you've got a sweet tooth. So I want this put to bed once and for all, because there was a nickname doing the rounds. Gareth, Sweet Tooth van Zyl. What is really your addiction to sugar?
No, you see, it's more like I was with a good friend in France, and he didn't want to be seen taking too many sweets off the table, so he got me to fill my pockets. And when we would go around the corner, he'd just stick his hand in my pocket and have another sweet, another one. And I took the rap for him, but I'm joking. No, look, I mean, I use a lot of energy through the day. I burn it up quite quickly, and I like a sweet something. Ironically, though, there are some chocolates that do give me a headache if I have too much of the too rich. But if I just feel like the little pick me up, a little something sweet, it goes down well. But I do justify it that I'm on my feet most hours of the day. We burn it pretty well, but as I get a bit older, I'm probably going to start tapping out of that bad habit.
Okay, as long as you don't start playing paddle, we're okay.
No, paddle's already started. I love paddle.
Oh, another one.
It's not paddle, it's padel. It's a Spanish padel.
Padel. Actually, it's padel. Gareth, if you were to race horse trainer, what would you be? I know what I'm going to say, because I think you'd be very good at it. But
I would like to hear that. I don't know, I love sports, I love activity. What could it potentially be? I was hoping to be a tennis player until I was about 12, and I realized it wasn't going to happen.
Tony Peter, you used to play with Tony, didn't you?
Yes, correct. That's where I first met the Peters. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe a golfer's caddy. Let's go with that, Joe.
Golfer's caddy.
There's the Masters flag behind you.
That is. Danny Willett. Anyway, I think you'd be a great mentor, like a pastor, or I think you're good at that kind of thing.
More realistically, a psychologist, I would certainly say a golfer's caddy's pie in the sky. A psychologist is probably something that's realistic.
I think you're good at that. You've got that way about you. So I hope people have got to learn more about you. Follow the horses, follow the podcast, follow Gareth, follow the whole team. Gareth, Gavin, Megan's still around?
Nope.
Okay. Follow the team.
Thanks so much.
All the best. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks so much, Joe. Thanks to the listeners. Cheers.